Hello, my name is Matthew Jesner, White Tiger Qigong instructor. Welcome to my posture parlor, my posture playground. Don't worry, you don't need to have all this with you when we work on posture. I've only got my toys out for some illustrative purposes. Also, as you notice, most likely I'm not dressed in any ninja gear. It's just basic street clothes. That's totally fine because this kind of postural approach that we're doing doesn't require anything other than just your will. So let's have a go at posture. I will be trying to speak as spontaneously as possible, although I do have notes that I've composed for this because I think it's quite important to be able to respect a certain coherence of approach. Posture is often associated with words like correct posture or even perfect posture as if it were some sort of status. It's not status, it is a state of structural configuration, meaning structure, configuration of structure in lots of different configurations, and then within that structural configuration, then we have a sort of a dynamic configuration. And the reason I say dynamic is because it allows us to move and to be free. We're not looking for perfect posture, take a picture, and then freeze it forever. That is the antithesis of what we're trying to do with our posture, which is encourage basically good freedom, physical freedom, and then a structure that allows us to work systemically all of our organic systems quite well. So using the words in a euphemistic standpoint, posture, no. Dynamic, composure, yes. So we have all kinds of little aids in our little lives to get used to these posture ideas, like insoles that help us stack our feet correctly, which is good. Braces for different joints that help support the configuration of these things. Cushions that help how we are, support from the lumbar support, which actually should be our own body and not necessarily something else. But anyway, that corsets, taping, all kinds of things, and you can even get mummified and have perfect posture, and it lasts forever. But it doesn't give you a lot of mobility and doesn't give you a lot of systemic freedom. So let's look at that posture at this time from a Qigong perspective. So one of the things that we will look at in terms of posture is that it's not only a vertical alignment, it is an alignment in a number of different positions if we were going to be in a Qigong posture, but then the way we actually organize all that. But that's not what we're doing today. So let's talk about the spine. Now, the spine is part of the skeletal system and a very important part of the skeletal system. It's also directly related to the nervous system, which is all of the organ functions and all the channels that works inside. So the spine is really very important. Now, the spine has 4 areas, if you will. I mean, the sacrum, and into the tailbone, the coccyx, which is, from a skeletal standpoint, completely integrated into the pelvic girdle. It's in there, and that's a good thing. It allows us all of the freedom of the torso and the locomotion of our lower body and to be able to do all these multiple things. Very important. So this section, sacral coccyx, the lumbar area, which is also right here, the lumbar spine, has a lot more mobility because it's not connected to bones. And it's also not into the thoracic area, which has all the ribs, what we call the rib cage. I call that the thoracic chamber. That part of the spine in the back is also connected to ribs. So it has a little bit less independence than the lumbar region, and then the cervical region, which is from the very top of the spine, thoracic 1, T1, Da Jue, to the cranium, the occiput. And then that's very important. So now, the cervical spine, I want to talk about that for one moment, talking about the sensation of spinal suspension. So we're suspended. So we're often talking about raising the crown. That's a good thing, absolutely. However, I firmly believe raising the crown and holding that as some sort of suspended point is not very good because we tend to not really be very independent. So this is why I invited my shirt to join this conversation. So yes, my shirt is indeed suspended from this point by the hook, but the hanger is here. So it has all of this independence. So I view the top vertebra, the T1, Da Jue, as being suspending the spine from that point, which then allows the cervical spine, which in this case is my coat hanger, all of this independence. So yes, it is suspended, but it has this. This is really actually quite important in terms of the way we use our spine, so that it's not some sort of Frankenstein thing. That's really quite important. So also speaking about the spine from a Qigong perspective, we're looking at it in terms of regions. A lower region, like a cauldron, like a large, bubble, boiling trouble, a big cauldron, very warm, very big, very heavy, and in the center And the same thing in the thoracic area around the heart point, and I'm not talking about the sentiment, I'm talking about the heart convergence center, thoracic chamber, which is then the chamber, and then the dome part, which is all the way around, like a cupola. A cupola is on top of a church or large structures that allow light and air and all this, but it protects. So we have this cauldron, cupola, and chamber, and they align in three basic centers, which are the lower center, Jing, essence, the middle center, which is Qi, energy and vitality, and the upper sphere, which would be more in terms of conscience, consciousness, spirit, and yes, all the other things that come with spirit, but also just being there. They're configured somewhat like this. So these centers are interrelated, but they're also independent. So they have, from a physical standpoint, this kind of a relationship. They don't necessarily just crunch. They don't become one. They have this. So we can move them this way, and this way, and this. So these centers have that kind of a configuration, which is actually quite important. Now, when we're talking about bending forward, it's important from a vocabulary standpoint. Bending forward would be more like this. That's bending from the hip. When we're bending the spine, in this particular context, I would encourage us to think more in terms of having the shoulder complex directly superposed with the pelvic complex so that we have a concave and a convex configuration. So we're not crunching down and crunching back. We're hollowing, concave, convex, and we're going to use that same idea with our spines rather than bending forward and bending back, which is also very important, but in this position, not so much. Now, posture is also a question of spatial relationship. We're relating to space, and within that spatial relationship, our orientation, and then our focus, which need to be also, like these 3 points, interrelated and independent. So we have our relationship to space, we have our orientation within it, and then we have our focus, which is the freedom that we're trying to strive for. So for directional purposes, let's just try to use this image. Why not? It's nice and easy, and you are here. It seems self-evident, but it's actually quite important. And the reason for that being that quite often we have a tendency, because of the way our bodies are made, is to think of space being in front of us somewhere. But if your spine is precisely here, then the stuff that's at the sides and the stuff that's in the back is part of an entire realm of spatial relationship, which is exactly what we're trying to develop in Qigong, as opposed to good posture and then hope it stays. We're trying to develop an articulation of this posture. So let us get a little bit more pragmatic while we're at it. So no ninja costume, nice and sweet. You can be on a chair, you could be on a Pilates ball, although at this point we're not. Feet directly underneath the knees, the shin bones straight perpendicular to the floor, and the feet completely together. We're going to open the feet up to 45 like a little duck, although lift up the toes and put the feet down. The feet are facing straight front, flat on the floor, and they're just draining out like little puddles of molasses, and then we pull them in. So we're not digging our toes into the floor, toenails into the wood floor. We're actually just drawing in and up a little bit, engaging the floor. So it's literally like that, puddle, and then pull it in a little bit. Light suction. And you'll find that actually has you connected to the floor. Now, seated, you can be in an office, you can be in your home. That doesn't affect much except a couple of other things. Take our outside hand, and wrap it underneath the back. And notice my back is nice and straight. I just lean slightly back and I'm lifting my thigh. Which, then taking the outside hand and holding right here. Now, just for a second while we're here, I'm not sitting down, I'm sitting up, and my tailbone is just stacked underneath me. So I'm stacking everything up from the tailbone. And then I gently grow my spine and lift my knee at the same time, nice and easy, depending on your flexibility, depending on who's in the room, and all the other things, just picking up. And now we inhale gently, not move, inhale, releasing the hands, and we're holding the knee. So we're engaging the hips. Gently rest, very little bit of weight on the top, and you'll feel a little bit of an activation here in the front of the hip, and then inhale again, and then release. And that depends on who else is in the room. Outside hand under the thigh, lifting up. Inside hand at the top of the shin bone, the tibia. Wrap the other hand on top of it and grow in the spine. Grow, 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 and look far. Inhale, release the hands. Gentle pressure. Inhale again. And right the way down. And you'll find that you're sitting much higher. We've engaged the feet, engaged the thighs, engaged the hips, and engaged the tailbone, which is the bottom of that entire structure. Like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but we've actually rectified that. So now, we will take our hands, and I will face you directly now. Take our hands and put them directly on our hips, the elbows facing out, the chest open. Now, if this is north, and that's south, then I have on my side facing you, this would then be east and west, immaterial here. So we take the hand and we slide it along the hips, not the wrist, pinching the elbow back, slide it literally. So this elbow is on a back diagonal. And then this elbow comes on a front diagonal, but my focus is still straight front. And now I turn my breastbone directly on the diagonal. And I have actually articulated my lumbar spine. My thoracic chamber has just moved. This is moved. And then I extend my back arm along that diagonal. And then I turn my head gently and I look past that hand and I wiggle my fingers so I can see them. Then I take my other arm, which is in the front, and I extend it directly, and we're completely on a diagonal opposing polar alignment. Now we'll wiggle our fingers. Now bring your fingers in and rest them gently, gently, gently on the top at the end of the collarbone. And now on an inhale, move the breastbone completely to the side on an inhale. And you will find that you've increased your rotation a great deal. And then come back straight front and relax. Both hands on the pelvic girdle. Slide the elbow to the back diagonal, elbow to the front diagonal, and turn the gaze, facing directly out on a diagonal. Extend the back arm. Look out past the back arm with your focus and wiggle your fingers. Extend the front arm directly opposite and wiggle your fingers. Place both fingertips at the end of the collarbone, and from there turn your breastbone completely to the side, and you will have increased all of your rotation from the thorax. And release and come front and straight down. Now the elbows in, and we're going to interlace the fingers and place them behind the back of the neck, the nape of the neck, and open. And so you can go a little bit convex, if you will, just open and look far. Now we are not going to crunch the neck down. We're going to hollow the middle of the back. Hollow, concave, hollow the middle of the back. And the shoulders in the scapula, the shoulder blades sink down into the heart. So we're not pulling down, stretching the neck. We're hollowing the body like an archer's bow. And release. And then inhale. And then we're opening, and you can gaze far. Release your hands gently. And now we're going to cross our hands behind the back in this position, nice and easy. Nothing particularly exotic for the top of the shoulders here. And then remember, we're going to lift our gaze up. Keep your mouth gently closed. And come straight front again. Now take the hands out and place them gently on the top of your thighs. Now we're going to do the basic thing in the world is the head roll. When I was trained in Korea, we did head rolls. We took 1 minute per direction. So 1 minute this way and 1 minute that way. You learn a lot about your neck in 2 minutes. So just drop the head down and gently drop the head to the side. And then the ear is in relationship to the shoulder, not raising the shoulder, keeping it here, and then up. And keep your mouth gently closed, don't grit your teeth. And all around to the side. This is slow. And then all the way down. Chin is at the bottom. Now we're going to change directions from the bottom, other direction, and keep doing that. And I'm going to talk to you at the same time. So if you're watching the video a little bit, You probably have your eyes open. That's fine. Now we have one more on each side. And you can either do it with your eyes closed, which means you'll be focusing inside, and you'll feel a lot. Or if you choose the option, we're going to go to the bottom now, change directions. Or if you choose the option of keeping your eyes open, look in the direction of your face. We don't want to be lost in space. Then we're straight front. Now, we have pulled in through the feet, into the hips, set up the spine, engaged the hips, engaged our directions, engaged our focus, augmented the rotations on both sides, and we've also stretched concave and convex, opening the back. And there we go, and then we've done the head rolls. These are very good. Now, standing, if you're standing, do the same thing. We're going to stand straight up, and the feet are in the same position. Puddles of molasses, pull them in, and gently release the hips. The hips and the knees, everything from here down will have the same buoyancy as this little ring that I use to keep my fitness ball from going all over the room. And your spine will have the same suspension as my little shirt and the independence of the top. So we're here, molasses, bring it in, buoyancy, suspension, release, facing front. Now open both arms out to the side, just nice and easy, open your back. And then just flex your hands completely east and west, completely. Not too high, just down on this thoracic chamber plane, the chi plane. And then just turn the hands so that the wrists are facing straight up. And then inhale and rise all the way up, looking straight up, zenith. Touch the wrists, touch the palms, and come straight down in front of your breastbone into the thoracic chamber, which is chi, energy, vitality. Now one inhale up into the Shen Coppola, and just release down. We're going to do two more. Inhale all the way up. Now the hands are in front of you, but the energy is inside of you, remember? In the center. Exhale gently. Third inhale into the Shen, the consciousness, and then down into the heart. Exhale. Relax here. Just the fingertips. And they point straight down, not here. And then from the lower Jing pulling up into the heart. Inhale. And then gently exhale. It's in the body, in the energy centers that are inside. Inhale, pull up inside. And then right the way down, down into the earth. Third time, inhale. And then right the way down. And then all three of those energy centers are nice and superposed. And we just inhale and draw up through the tailbone, through the lumbar, through the thoracic, through the cervical. Nice and easy. And the palms right the way down. And then complete relaxation. So everything hangs except the spine. And then your posture has freedom. Hello, my name is Matthew Jesner, White Tiger Qigong instructor. Welcome to the White Tiger YouTube channel. Please enjoy the wide range of instructional videos that we have to share with you. If you like this video, click like. If you wish to subscribe, please subscribe. And if you have comments, we welcome your comments below. And last and not least, please don't forget to visit our website, www.whitetigerqigong.com. Thanks.